Mr. Bird, I regret to inform you that our previous sessions have been wiped from the records.
What? Everything we've talked about, they're just ignoring it?
Unfortunately, yes. They seemed to not believe many of the stories that you were telling me. I tried to fight back, but they just would not listen.
So what do we do now, Doc?
The only thing we can do, continue the sessions. You'll just have to try.
All of that just thrown out like that.
Yes. They want you to tell me something new, unfortunately.
Tell you something new? What am I supposed to tell you?
It's not my fault, Mr. Bird. There's no reason to get angry.
Alright. I know it's not your fault. I'm sorry.
Everything is forgiven. So please, tell me.
I can say, he was where I've been locked up here for quite some time. Just seeing him, though, the personification of evil. It's weird seeing him like that. But I could tell he had a plan. Whether he would say it or not, he had a plan.
Had a plan? But I don't get it. He always seems to disappear, though. What is he coming back for?
He was far from done from that night in 1978.
But why would he come back? What is there for him to do? Who is there for him to continue to stalk and kill? Who?
40 years. 40 years of pent-up rage. Something you would never thought would have happened again. Hey, what is going on, my specialist? SPC here, and welcome back to the Halloween review series. So guys, we are finally here. We are here on the new David Gordon Green Halloween trilogy. And you know, guys, before I get into the review, usually for some of these films I've been telling a bit of a story when it comes to what I've thought about these films and kind of how they've affected me as a person and a moviegoer. But when it comes to Halloween 2018, I mean, 2 years before this film actually dropped, you know, they finally announced that we were going to be getting, at least at that time, a new Halloween film. And then, you know, when things started coming out finally, you know, obviously, of course, I heard a new Halloween film. Obviously, of course, you know, my excitement levels went right through the roof. I got so excited. I could not wait to see Michael Myers back on the big screen. So when this film did finally drop, I didn't get to go see it opening night, unfortunately, but when I did finally get to go see it, I got to go see it with my buddy Ethan, who got me into the Halloween franchise a little bit more. We ended up having that clique as friends that we both really loved the franchise. And of course, Michael Myers being our favorite horror icon, one of our favorite horror films of all time. And getting to go see that film with him, you know, it was something special. It's my first Halloween film to ever see in the theaters. I never got to go see the Rob Zombie films, which I'm perfectly okay that I didn't see them at that time in the theaters. But this film, I have to be completely honest. This film holds a very special place in my heart for this franchise. Because this is a film that, honestly, after it came out, I went back and rewatched the franchise because I only watched the first film to get ready for 2018. This film really is the film that changed my outlook, changed my perspective of how I watch this franchise now, because there are films I absolutely used to despise in this franchise, and I've come to absolutely love. There are films I used to absolutely love, and now I'm more mixed / maybe don't like them as much as I used to. But I do have to say, guys, as of right now, this film is my favorite sequel in this franchise. You guys also see, too, obviously, we're back to the casual settings. I think I'm going to do this setting for the next 3 reviews, so Again, hope you guys like this little difference besides me standing in front of a green screen and stuff. So, but I suppose, without further ado, let's get on into what I like about Halloween 2018. And I already know where I want to start with this because Michael Myers, to me personally, is the greatest thing about Halloween 2018. James Jude Courtney's portrayal of this character is just a great blend of the stockiness, the supernatural edge that Nick Castle's Michael Myers has. And you can take it however you want. You can either take it from George P. Wilbur, or you can even take it from Tyler Mane's Michael Myers, but he brings that brutality to that I've come to really love and adore and enjoy about Michael Myers. To me, as of now, again, we're going to see here in a couple of days if my thoughts change, but this right now is my favorite Michael Myers. Everything that James Jude Courtney does with this character, I just love. Next thing I gotta say that I absolutely love is the score to this film. This, to me, as of now, it's right now it's a three-way tie. I gotta be totally honest with you guys. It's a three-way tie for my absolute favorite score of the entire Halloween series. It's tied, of course, with the original Halloween and even last year's Halloween Kills. I mean, the fact that John Carpenter was convinced to come back and be a part of this new trilogy of films, to come back and compose the score and just be an executive producer and be a part of this new trilogy of films is incredible, because it's something that has been missed since the first film. Don't get me wrong, we've had some great Halloween scores throughout the course of the franchise, but it's just not having the creator of this character, of this franchise, John Carpenter. The fact that he was able to be convinced to come back is honestly a godsend to this series now. Honestly, too, the next biggest positive I have to say is the character of Allison Strode, played by Andi Matichak. This, hands down, is the best new character in this new series of films. She, honestly, to me, is a little bit better of a final girl than Laurie Strode to some degrees. Because I actually like how, and we'll talk about it in the next film, but I like her arc, how she's kind of getting a little more stronger throughout Michael's killings and stuff. But when it comes to this character too, specifically one scene that stands out, I mean, it's more of the score, but when Allison and her friend, I can't remember what his name is right now, when they're walking across that guy's field, his backyard, whatever, and, you know, he's sitting there trying to hit on her, trying to say that, you know, oh, your boyfriend is a jerk, I should be the one you should be with. And after he gets attacked by Michael in an awesome sequence, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, the score that comes on after she goes back and finds him impaled through that top of the fence, the shape stalks Allison, is honestly the greatest score here in this film. When it comes on and you see Michael come from behind that guy, and you see Allison's face and her just realization that Michael Myers is back. He is here. He is killing. Everything that her grandmother was saying is true. And when that score comes on, you just tense up and it just engrosses you into that scene. And I guess since we're already on the topic, I mean, the kills. Like, this is probably tied, at least at this point in time, was tied with being the most brutal of the kills in this entire series. You get a great blend of on-screen kills and off-screen kills. I mean, probably one of the most effective kills you don't get to actually see in the film is towards the third act. When Ray goes to the police car and he sees it looks like a lit up jack-o'-lantern, and after he opens up the door and you see the head of the other policeman with a flashlight inside of him, it is so effective, and it starts to kind of make you think like, okay, how did Michael do that? Of course, you got more off-screen kills as well, but the on-screen kills are obviously effective. Of course, I brought up, the guy who had girls feeding him guacamole in sexy ways and stuff. The impalement on the fence is an insane kill. The death of Dr. Sartain, when Michael just stomps on his head and it just explodes like a watermelon.
Say something.
That is some effective stuff. You can even feel it almost, because when I watched this in theaters for the first time, my jaw dropped on the floor. I cringed so hard at that scene. I could not believe what I just saw. Next positive I honestly have to say too is, I like how this goes almost back to basic Halloween, When you're watching this, it feels a lot more like the 1978 film. I like how, Michael still feels like Michael. He's had this pent-up rage, this pent-up frustration for 40 years. And he finally breaks out off of the bus, and just when the carnage starts to ensue is just insane of what happens throughout the course of the film. I also have to say, I love a lot of the shots in this film too. One of the most iconic ones as of now is right after Michael kills them two podcasters in the bathroom. He goes over to their car. He opens up the trunk and he looks at his mask and he puts the mask back on for the first time in 40 years. And you hear that iconic Nick Castle breathing. It's a bone-chilling, goosebump-filled scene to watch. It was shown in the trailer, but you have that long tracking shot of Michael going through Haddonfield, going from house to house to house, killing people. Goes into that garage, grabs the hammer, goes into the old lady's house, almost reminiscent of the house and even kind of the character to a degree from Halloween 2. And then, of course, going to the next house, impaling that girl right through her throat while she's looking outside the window, making his way over to the babysitter's house with the young kid, the blonde-haired girl of Allison's friend. I also love the cinematography in this film too. I mean, just the way that they can light the mask is amazing. It's, again, probably the best cinematography out of the franchise. I do have some more thoughts of what I think is the best shot film out of the franchise, but that's a whole nother story. But just the way it's shot, again, that long tracking shot of Michael walking around is lit beautifully. It's filmed in such a way that you just get engrossed in it. The atmosphere in this film too is very reminiscent of the original 1978 film. And when you get to that third act, it's just completely ramped up. You get the fight between Michael and Laurie throughout. You also have Michael being extremely smart in the way he does things too, especially when he gets into the house, because before he even gets in, he tries to kill Laurie through the door. She ends up putting the shotgun up to his hand, blowing off two of his fingers. When Michael finally gets into the house, though, he kind of starts to look around. He can't find Laurie, he can't find anybody else. So he ends up just leaving blood all over. And Laurie ends up trying to find him. And it's, again, another tense sequence, because you don't know yourself where Michael is. And easily one of the best, framed shots is Laurie going into this dark room where all these mannequins are that she has shot in target practice in the backyard. And Michael is somewhere in this room because it's where the blood trail ends. But it is shot in such a way where you can scan that room for minutes on end along with Laurie, and you cannot see where Michael is. When he comes out from behind that mannequin, it is shocking. It is intense. And it even surprises you to a degree. And of course, the nice little throwback we get after that, after Michael throws Laurie over the balcony, and he turns around because he hears Allison, turns back around, Laurie is gone. Absolutely one of the best throwbacks you could do from the 1978 film. Even another one too you get, it's a little lame in my opinion, but after Michael gets stabbed, Laurie comes from out of the darkness and just says, "Happy Halloween, Michael." Stabs him again. He falls down the stairs. And just even to the way that this scene is shot, you know, you really only get to see a little bit of the mask. You see the silhouette of Michael. It's just the way they shoot Michael Myers in this film is just beautiful. And for my final positive for Halloween 2018, I do like the acting a lot from a vast majority of the characters. I do like the acting of Jamie Lee Curtis in here. I do think she puts on probably the best performance in this film next to Annie Matichak. I do think she is the more standout actress in this film. But the characters, to a degree, are a lot likable. Now I want to move on to the one mixed element I have of this film that unfortunately does hold it back a little bit for me. And it is the outline that Laurie Strode is still so broken in this film. 40 years have passed since that night he came home. 3 of her friends died. And besides that, you only had the one random death outside of Haddonfield that Dr. Loomis finds outside with the truck. And that's it. You really only have the 4 kills from the first film. And she is just still so paranoid 40 years later. Again, acting-wise, it definitely is the best. But it's just the concept that she is this paranoid, this broken still, 40 years later, after only 3 people died that she knew. It works a lot better in H2O. I'm even going to say it too, I think it works the best in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, of how broken the character of Laurie Strode is. So to me, that's why it's so mixed, because the way she acts and the performance she puts on is very good. It's just the concept of her being this broken after 40 years is just, it never worked for me for this film. And now we move on to the 2 things that I do not like about this film. The first thing is the comedy. I mean, some of the comedy does land once in a great while. It's not very often. You have the little kid that the babysitter is watching earlier on in the film. You know, he's cracking some jokes. He's actually pretty entertaining, and the jokes that he says are pretty funny. But it's always when you get to the tense sequences and they are broken up by the comedy. Just like in that very scene, she's trying to close the door, and, you know, Julian's sitting there watching her, and after she opens the door all the way, Michael's standing there, slashes at her with the knife, and he just cracks this little joke, and you can't help but laugh, but it's like, really?
Oh, shit!
And he gets up and just runs down the stairs. Her boyfriend is downstairs, and he's just sitting there still making these funny jokes, and it's supposed to be an intense sequence where this girl is getting killed.
You go up there, you're gonna get killed, Dave!
And it's like, while it is entertainingly funny, the way that they use the comedy in at least this film and the next film, it ruins the tenseness of the scene. And, I mean, too, just the other jokes, again, you know, you got the kid talking about the girls feeding him guacamole in sexy ways and stuff. You have the dad talking about the peanut butter on his penis earlier on in the film. I mean, it's just the comedy from, and you can tell, this is from Danny McBride making these jokes. This seems more like things that should be in like a Seth Rogen kind of comedy. Not in a Halloween film. The comedy does not work for me. And for my final negative of Halloween 2018, I mean, a lot of people are obviously probably in the same boat with me, but the character of Dr. Sartain. When the film first starts, I do really believe that he is trying to be a good psychiatrist to Michael. He's trying to actually take over the Loomis role. And I think up until the little twists they do with him, I do think he puts on a good performance, and it's a character I kind of was starting to get invested into. But then they do the twist where he stabs Officer Hawkins in the neck, and for whatever reason, when he stands up, he decides to take Michael's mask off and put it on himself. And then he throws him in the back, takes the mask off, and throws it in. And the fact, too, that they decide to say that he wants to see how Michael is. He wants to hear Michael talk. That's one of the big things in this film, is hearing Michael speak. Weird concept to me. Never been something that's really bothered me all that much, but when it comes to Dr. Sartain and him wanting to see Laurie and Michael fight, seeing if Laurie is the reason why Michael escaped, if she is the reason why he is going on to this rampage. He gets a satisfying death for me, at least, at the end, but to me, the twist and the character just got ruined at that point in time. So all in all, guys, I do have to say, again, as of right now, this is probably my favorite sequel in this entire franchise. Michael Myers is great. Tied for the best score of the franchise. Great creative kills, great new final girl, good performances for the most part, but the comedy and the Dr. Sartain stuff, along with Laurie Strode being this broken after 40 years, it's the stuff that holds this film down from being even higher with my rating that I'm going to give it here. So, as of now, I am going to give Halloween 2018 a 4 out of 5. Guys, that is going to do it for my review of Halloween 2018. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you guys go and check out the rest of the Halloween review series if you guys haven't. I will put a playlist up here, hopefully if I remember. And make sure if you guys are new here, please consider clicking that subscribe button. I've been working so hard on these Halloween reviews, having such a blast doing it. I can't wait to continue up until Halloween ends. And also, you guys, make sure you hit that like button, as it'll really start to help the channel grow. Let me know what kind of stuff you guys want to see here in the future. So I suppose with that being said, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you in the next one.